Hello everyone, and welcome back to Simple Sounds. I am so excited to be back. Something about New Year's that just brings so much hope, and it's the same hope that we should be looking for in Jesus. I mean, that's the same hope that we believe when we believe in God and all that He's capable of doing in our lives. We think of hope. We think of that. We believe in something greater. And every year it's like starting over. It's like New Year's becomes the year of hope. And it's really up to us how we let it continue. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Miracle Morning. I might have mentioned it before. I read it, or I have it on Audible, and it talks about mornings, doing certain things in the morning and how to better yourself. Where you're visualizing, where you're switching your mind from just being negative and being like, no, I can't, no, that's too hard, no, I'm not good at this and I'm not good at that. And it's really controlling your mind to think, through affirmations and to believe through prayer and meditation, and taking time out every day to wake up. Something about the morning. It's like that's why they call it the miracle morning. And there's something magical about the morning where you have more clarity. You have more of a vision of what it is that you want. You don't have all these. Your mind hasn't been throwing you negative messages just yet in the morning. And when life happens, you go to the store and someone looks at you wrong, right? Or that's where all these insecurities and negative thoughts come from. So it's almost awesome because you're beating time by doing this early in the morning, and you're shaping your mind to believe that you can conquer anything. And by having that clear vision, it's easier to transform your life into the life that you want. Of course, God's will is all through you. Like, it's all God's will. I believe that God's will is what allows me to feel what direction I should take, which path to take. So anyways, this just kind of sprung up on me, on my brain right now. But the Miracle Morning, you guys should check it out. I tried it, and I see, it's like journaling. I see the blessings from it, but you have to keep going. You have to keep trying. So now this is our first day back for going back to school. The girls are going back to their routine. I'm here doing my videos, and so I'm giving myself some time to kind of readjust my schedule and my sleep schedule, and going to bed. Gotta work on that. But anyhow, the Miracle Morning, if you want to check it out, I'll be more than happy to do another video on it, just to give you more insight and more details if you like. So anyways, I am getting ready to finish up this book of Joshua. So let's get started. Oh, I have my dandy coffee today. who makes it. It's okay today. You're gonna mix it a little bit. Let's try it again. That could have gone worse. Better. I'm not sure why they don't stir it. By the way, I'm using my new iPhone that I got for Christmas. I did a video. We were in Georgia. I did a couple videos. I just haven't been able to sit and edit. But oh my gosh, you guys, I can't wait for you to listen, because I was walking through leaves and it was just the most amazing sound. I gotta edit that and show you guys. It was amazing. And I actually mentioned of the surprise I was telling you about. If those of you are on my Instagram, you probably found out, and you probably heard a little bit of the leaves because I posted something there. So if you are on Instagram, be sure to check me out on Instagram. I'm gonna put it right here on Instagram. And if there, I would love to communicate a little more with you guys. And let's get started. So I just realized I didn't even have my microphone connected to my phone. We are in our last chapter, guys, or last two chapters, and they're done together. So it's actually Joshua 23 through 24:33. The last words of Joshua. The Lord gave Israel peace from their enemies around them. Many years passed, and Joshua grew very old. He called a meeting of all the older leaders, heads of families, judges, and officers of Israel. He said, I am now very old. You have seen what the Lord has done to our enemies to help. The Lord your God fought for you. Remember that your people have been given their land between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea in the west, the land I promised to give you. The Lord your God will force out the people living there. The Lord will push them out ahead of you, and you will own the land as He has promised you. Be strong. You must be careful to obey everything commanded in the book of teachings of Moses. Do exactly as it says. Don't become friends with the people living among us who are not Israelites. Don't say the names of their gods or make anyone swear by them. Don't serve or worship them. You must continue to follow the Lord your God as you have done in the past. The Lord has forced many great and powerful nations to leave ahead of you. No nation has been able to defeat you. With this help, one Israelite could defeat 1,000, because the Lord your God fights for you as He promises to do. You must be careful to love the Lord your God. If you turn away from the way of the Lord, and become friends with these people who are not part of Israel and marry them, the Lord your God will not help you defeat your enemies. They will be like traps for you, like whips on your back and thorns in your eyes, and none of you will be left in this good land the Lord your God has given you. It's almost time for me to die. You know and fully believe that the Lord has done great things for you. You know that he has not failed to keep any of his promises. Every good promise that the Lord your God made has come true. And in the same way, his other promises will come true. He promised that evil will come to you and that he will destroy you from this good land that he gave you. This will happen if you don't keep your agreement with the Lord your God. If you go and serve other gods and worship them, the Lord will become very angry with you. Then none of you will be left in this good land he has given you. Joshua 24. Joshua gathered all the tribes of Israel together at Shechem. He called the older leaders, heads of family, judges, and officers of Israel to stand before God. Then Joshua said to all the people, "Here's what the Lord, the God of Israel, says to you. A long time ago, your ancestors lived on the other side of the Euphrates River. Terah, the father of Abraham, and Nahor worshipped other gods. But I, the Lord, took your ancestor Abraham from the other side of the river and led him through the land of Canaan. And I gave him many children, including his son Isaac. I gave Isaac 2 sons named Jacob and Esau. I gave the land around the mountains of Edom to Esau, but Jacob and his sons went down to Egypt. Then I sent Moses and Aaron to Egypt, where I brought many disasters on the Egyptians. Afterwards, I brought you out. When I brought your ancestors out of Egypt, they came to the Red Sea, and the Egyptians chased them with chariots and men on horses. So the people called out to the Lord, and I brought darkness between you and the Egyptians and made the sea to cover them. You yourselves saw what I did to the army of Egypt. After that, you lived in the desert for a long time. Then I brought you to the land of the Amorites, east of the Jordan River. They fought against you, but I handed them over to you. I destroyed them before you, and you took control of that land. But the king of Moab, Balak, son of Zippor, prepared to fight against the Israelites. The king sent for Balaam, son of Beor, to curse you, but I refused to listen to Balaam. So he asked for good things to happen to you. I saved you and brought you out of his power. Then you crossed the Jordan River and came to Jericho, where the people of Jericho fought against you. Also the Amorites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hittites, Girgashites, Hivites, and Jebusites fought against you, but I handed them over to you. I sent terror ahead of you to force out 2 Amorite kings. You took the land without using swords and bows. I gave you the land where you did not have to work. I gave you cities that you did not have to build. And now you live in the land and those cities, and you eat from vineyards and olive trees that you did not plant. Then Joshua said to the people, "Now respect the Lord and serve him fully and sincerely. Throw away the gods that your ancestors worshipped on the other side of the Euphrates River and in Egypt. Serve the Lord, but if you don't want to serve the Lord, You must choose for yourself today whom you will serve. You may serve the God that your ancestors worshipped when they lived on the other side of the Euphrates River, or you may serve the gods of Amorites who lived in this land. As for me and my family, we will serve the Lord." Then the people answered, "We will never stop following the Lord to serve our other gods. It was Lord our God who brought our ancestors out of Egypt. We were slaves in that land, but the Lord did great things for us there. He brought us out and protected us while we traveled through other lands. Then he forced out all the people living in these lands, even the Amorites. So we will serve the Lord because he is our God." Then Joshua said, "You are not able to serve the Lord because he is a holy God and a jealous God. If you turn against him and sin, he will not forgive you. If you leave the Lord and serve other gods, he will send you great trouble. The Lord may have been good to you, but if you turn against him, he will destroy you." But the people said to Joshua, "No, we will serve the Lord." And Joshua said, "You are your own witnesses that you have chosen to serve the Lord." And the people said, "Yes, we are." Then Joshua said, "Now throw away the gods that you have. Love the Lord, the God of Israel, with all your heart." Then the people said to Joshua, "We will serve the Lord our God, and we will obey him." On that day, the Shechem Joshua made an agreement for the people. He made rules and laws for them to follow. Joshua wrote these things in a book of the teaching of God. Then he took a large stone and set it up under an oak tree near the Lord's holy tent. Joshua said to all the people, "See this stone? It will remind you of what we did today. It was here the Lord spoke to us today. It will remind you of what happened, so you will not turn against God, your God." Joshua dies. Then Joshua sent the people back to their land. After that, Joshua, son of Nun, died at the age of 110. They buried him on his own land in Timnath-Serah, in the mountains of Ephraim, north of Mount Gash. The Israelites served the Lord during the lifetime of Joshua and during the lifetime of all the older leaders who lived after Joshua, who had seen what the Lord had done for Israel. Joseph comes home. When the Israelites left Egypt, they carried the bones of Joseph with them. They buried them at Jeshurun, in the land of Jacob had bought for 100 pieces of silver from the son of Hamor. Hamor was the father of Shechem. This land now belonged to Joseph's children. And Eleazar, son of Aaron, died and was buried at Gibeah, in the mountains of Ephraim, which had been given to Eleazar's son, Phinehas. Life lesson. Joshua 23 through 24. Situation. God gave the people of Israel rest from all their enemies. In this farewell address, Joshua reminds the people of God's bountiful grace and mercy. He gave the Israelites commands to help them avoid falling into the most likely areas of temptation. Observation. We must resist the temptation to sin and live in loving obedience to God. Inspiration. Several men went on a mission trip to Haiti, where they met a 19-year-old boy who loved Christ deeply. He impressed them so profoundly that they invited him to visit the United States. Upon arrival, a whole new world opened up before this young Haitian's eyes. He had never slept between sheets, never had 3 meals on the same day, never used indoor plumbing, and never tasted McDonald's. While traveling the U.S., this godly young man made many new friends. At the end of the 6-week-long visit, his sponsors hosted a farewell dinner in his honor. After dinner, several members of the group offered warm parting remarks. Then they asked the young Haitian if he would like to say anything. "Yes," he said as he rose, "I would. I want to thank you so much for inviting me here. I have really enjoyed this time in the United States. But I am also very glad to be going home. You have so much in America that I'm beginning to lose my grip on my day-to-day dependency on Christ." Wow. Do you have so much that you find it hard to keep a grip on your day-to-day dependency on Christ? Or worse, have you lost your grip? When we don't need to depend on Christ, we will not. Our natural tendency is to depend on self, not Christ. Depending on Christ is an act of the will by faith, not the natural disposition of our heart. I have prayed that God will always keep some major unmet need in my life so that I will always depend upon Him. To be really in need, like the widow in 1 Timothy 5:5, creates dependency. To have so much, as the young Haitian observed, creates self-sufficiency. When our lives prosper, the natural tendency is to lose our grip. Someone called my prayer courageous. I disagree. It is not of courage but of fear, the fear of a holy God. For God has the power to give us what we deserve, whether good or bad. I have come to fear with reverence and awe the God who is, for He is a consuming fire. From Walking with Christ in the Details of Life by Patrick Morley. Application. Have your abundance resources have kept you from depending on God? Have you lost your grip on God's help? Focus on a special need that only God can meet. Seek His help today. We have lots of distractions. We have so much dependency. You know how the Bible talks about how God takes care of the birds, never lets them go hungry. There's always something there, and God provides. We have shifted that focus of, instead of being thankful for the simple needs, the basics, the food, the air that we breathe, the comfort, where we sleep, a comfortable bed, all that we take for granted, and we are blessed. But it's almost like a double-edged sword. The more blessed we are, sometimes we expect, and then when we don't get what we want, when things just don't go the way we want them to, we throw a tantrum. Why isn't God listening? Why doesn't He know? And we gotta be aware of what message God has for us on a daily basis. I am trying, and I mentioned this before, I try in the morning to just, God, help me, guide me into living today. Guide me into the life you want me to have. I don't want to take control because He knows best. And if I decide if I'm going to make the wrong decision, and we talked about this on our previous video, about making decision, wise decision. We have to depend on God. We have to depend on God. I'm currently in the middle of making one decision, whether it is completely shutting a door or just leaving the crack open of this door. And I wanna kind of give it some time and pray about it and meditate and see what God puts in my heart. And though I haven't taken the time to do like a deep prayer, but it's like every time it pops in my mind, I'm like, God, I feel like you're telling me to do this. I feel like you're telling me to close the door. I feel like you're telling me to, hey, open this door a little bit wider. But I don't want to make the decision yet. I don't want to make a decision. I believe that God wants us to reach out to Him and constantly be asking for His help. He's got the answers. He's got all of the answers that we need, and He communicates with us while we read scriptures. Just in the scriptures alone, just talking about how we need Him, we need to depend on Christ instead of our own needs. And it happened. It's so normal for us to feel like, well, my needs aren't being met, and I am upset because my needs aren't being met, and my needs should be met. But it should be all about what God wants for you, what God wants in your heart, what He sees in your heart. And I believe He's constantly trying to help you transform into a better person on a daily basis. We just have to listen, which is the hardest part, and be in tune with Him and be grateful for all the things that He does in your life on a daily basis. I have the prayer. I pray every night with my daughter, and I'm trying to help her depend on God for her insecurities or things that happen in school, that she panics when she has a test. And I want to be able to help her trust in God, and not just trust like, yeah, I trust God, but really let it go, letting things go. And that goes along with the whole miracle morning that I mentioned you earlier in the video. A little bird or big bird. It goes along with the whole miracle morning where we're working on ourselves, but we're taking time to meditate and ask God to clear our minds, ask God for guidance to direction, and direction, and then we visualize. So we're trying to clean our mind from all this negative, all these distractions that we get on a daily basis. Adding a little bit of exercise, a little bit of movement, that creates endorphins. Endorphins makes you happy, and it's an overall life transition, just to be a better person. What's the other one? Reading. You're educating your mind. You're getting yourself the knowledge that you need. Reading the scriptures, or reading books that can help you with issues that you may be going through, or even if you're just reading, taking the time out to distract your mind from all this craziness of the world that the world offers. The fifth one was the journaling. Gosh, I have a hard time doing that. Journaling is just pretty much jotting down everything that comes to mind And I've tried it before, I've done it before, and it's amazing. And I don't know why I don't do it. I need more miracle mornings in my life, and I really need to, just do it. But the journaling helps you clear your mind. So what better way to have in the morning before you get up, before you leave your house, for you to have your endorphins going, your visualization, your positive mind, and your mind in the most positive way, form, however you would say it. And your journal, so now your mind is organized. You're filtering all the bad stuff, all the negative, and you're starting your morning in the best way possible. So that is all. I've made it really, really long today, I apologize, but it is the last book of the Bible. The last chapter of this Joshua book. I'm so glad we finished it. So the book of Joshua was all about obeying God and listening to his, and it's every time you read the Bible, you get a better feel of how God's character is, how much God showed these people that were dedicated to him, how God helps you when you're on board with God. He's got your back. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions of what book to read next, just leave it below and let me know. And I would love to hear from you guys. I always love chatting with you guys in the comment sections. And again, Instagram, if you want to join me over there, we can chat a little bit more on a one-to-one. So anyways, you come and say hello, come join my Instagram and say hello there. And that is all for today. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will be posting the leaves. Oh my gosh, the leaves. You gotta check out the leaves. So stay tuned until next time. We will see you later.